Welcome back to Coffee with Poet. It is after 4 on Black Friday. Wait a minute. Okay, here we go. I'm exhausted. I was up almost all night. Almost all night. And then this morning, well, closer to lunchtime, we went to a local mall, which half of the stores were closed down, like emptied, closed, shuttered, just to see, just to do something. We were going to get a Christmas tree today, but it's so cold. It's rainy / snowy. It's just this really windy. The real feel temperature is 21, so it's like today was really not the day to get the tree. So we're going to go tomorrow morning, hit Walmart, pick up these couple items I need, and then go and get our tree. Got my coffee using my cookies for Santa cup. No candle today. We're just going to do a quick little talk. I want to get over to Messenger and catch up. I wasn't on yesterday. I don't think I was on yesterday at all. I know I was on the day before. I missed maybe 1 or 2 messages. That was just with timing. Nothing more, nothing less. And so I have a video. Probably by the time you see this, that video will already be up. And I talked about yesterday, which was Thanksgiving, and what I did and what I got through, and probably why I was awake so much last night, which was most likely like a post-anxiety thing that I go through after I go through something really stressful. So that's okay. I'm out of Ready Whip. I have Cool Whip. I have like regular good old Cool Whip because I made a chocolate pudding pie. I think I had just too much chocolate. We went to the mall. We got a soft pretzel and split it, and got one lemonade and a small and split that. It was like $7.50 for a soft pretzel and a small lemonade. Anyway, not complaining. I'm just saying that that's how it goes. Santa was at the mall, all that. So what I want to talk about is the video that I did a couple videos ago, talking about my son conning me out of money. And I had a couple of comments that really made me think. And I always say this, if someone leaves a comment and I have to really think about it, and to be able to say, what you're saying is a whole lot of truth. I'm going to talk about it more. I'm going to expand on it. I had 2 comments that stuck out. One comment, someone said something, and I'm paraphrasing. If you give him the money on your own, he's not conning you. You're giving him that money, so that's not a con. And that's right. If I'm giving it to him, it could be said that he's not conning me out of the money. I'll get into that in a minute. Someone else said, and I did comment back to you, but I don't know if I was specific enough. Someone said, why is it that you don't care about this son, or go and see him and take care of him like you do your other kids, or something to that effect? And what I really wanted to say was, what are you talking about? Like, that's what I really wanted to say. Like, what are you talking about? So let's get into this topic, because I do think it is important. And let's talk about the whole story. Let's dig in the closet. Let's pull the skeletons out. Let's throw the bones on the floor. Let's do the whole 9 yards. Because there's every once in a while there's a person brave enough to step out and say, this is what I've gone through with my family. I had one person comment and say she went through this with her sister. you know? And it's a hard thing to talk about. It's like people keep this stuff really quiet. People keep a lot of things really quiet. We don't talk about a whole lot of things, do we? We keep them really quiet, and then there's a whole lot of suffering. So let's expand on this situation. And I will say it's now been since last Sunday since I had any contact with my son. Someone made a comment and said, don't put this on your boyfriend to do. First off, he's not my boyfriend, he's my fiance, soon to be my husband. So, which means he'll be my son's stepfather. So he's not a boyfriend. You said, don't put this on your boyfriend, then he'll be the bad guy, which means if it's on me, I'm the bad guy, which is ridiculous. You handle it yourself. Okay, we're going to talk about the whole thing. Breathe, poet, breathe. Okay, from when this particular son was 13, he started doing drugs. You know, it was pot, pills, the lighter stuff, the not so dangerous stuff, we'll say. He got through high school barely. He graduated. I honestly think the school just wanted the whole class out. He got out. He graduated. He got a diploma. He even spent a little bit of time in the Army. He made it through boot camp in and around heroin use. Joined the Army to try to get clean and sober from heroin. Went through boot camp, made it through boot camp. Went down to Texas to be a fire dog. Got into some trouble down there, got arrested down there. There was a whole thing. And then he ends up back home just like a month later with some reason, like there was an injury to his knee. Maybe not. No one ever saw any paperwork saying he was sent home because of an injury. So what do we know, you know? So he was arrested in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, pretty much every year in the month of January. And then he did county jail time for 3 years, in and out. He'd go in for something, some minor crime, some breaking into a car, which according to the court system, that's minor, it's a misdemeanor. So, and then he'd get probation, he'd come out, he'd do something else, he'd go back in, he'd come out, he'd go back in. It was a thing for 3 years, off and on for 3 years. So during that 3 years, he had a whole team of people who surrounded him. Myself, his father, and we've been divorced for years, but his grandfather, some of the members of the police department from that town were trying to help him. One of the best drug rehab places in the United States. We got him a grant. I got him a grant. I went into the city to our task office, and he got a grant. I was the only mom there. All these guys, all these addicts, and I'm the only mom sitting there with my kid, you know. And we got him a grant, and he goes through this expensive program, and then he relapses, and I get him back in for another 10 days to try to help, and it's like nothing helped. So during all this time, all these people, his cousins, like extended family, neighbors, friends from high school, like people tried to help him, you know, gave him a place to stay. He was in and out of my house a dozen times, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. He stole everything from everybody that wasn't nailed down. My engagement ring, money, my medication. Who knows what else that I don't even realize was stolen. He stole from my ex-husband. He stole from his father. He stole from his grandfather. He stole from the neighbors. He just stole from everybody. Anybody, his friends, families' houses, which is what addicts do. They need the money for the drugs. They'll pick up anything. He went into stores. He stole things from stores. Then he took it back and got the money back. All those kind of things. I stayed by his side. I stayed by his side through the whole thing. County jail, I was there to see him 3 times a week, every week. I'd drive up there to the county jail. I'd go in. I was in there with him for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, sitting with him, talking with him, giving him money, putting money on his commissary, like so he could get whatever, you know. Then it came to be state time, because then it was felonies. A lot of misdemeanors, they turned into felonies. And he made the headlines in some newspapers, you know. And so he goes into state prison. And during the 5 years and 7 months that he did state time, he was moved around from prison to prison. And he probably was in about, I'd say, 8 different state prisons in Pennsylvania, because he would go into solitary confinement, and you can only stay in solitary so long, and then they'll bump you to another prison, and then they just kept doing that. So during all that time, the 2 most local state prisons that I could get to with the help of a friend driving me, I was the one visiting him. Talk about, you know, it being rough with my anxiety disorder, going into a state prison to see my son. I was there. I was the only person at that point that was still in his life. The only friend, the only family member, the only extended family member, the only anybody that was still there with him, for him, was me. So for the person who left the comment and said, "Why weren't you there? Why weren't you there seeing him?" Like I just want to say, just be quiet. You know, you just need to be quiet. Because I was there. I was so there. The money, oh God, I don't even want to say how much money I gave that boy. And you know, when it said, well, if you give it to him, he's not conning you. Like if you just give it to him, just here. And there was a few times I gave him money. If it was his birthday, put money on his commissary so he could get whatever. Christmas, I gave him money on his commissary. But see, it extends way beyond that when you're talking state prison. There's a whole lot of things that go on. You have to be a part of it. You have to be in the know to know what goes on. And so I would get 5, 6, 7, 8 phone calls a day from state prison. Some of them I just wouldn't take because I couldn't emotionally handle him begging me for more money, crying, carrying on, threatening to end his life, telling me he was going to be, you know, hurt in there. The amount of trauma I went through while he was in there was probably about as much trauma as he went through while he was in there. So I helped. I can't even tell you to the tune of how much I helped. And I knew he was lying to me. Like, I knew it, like in my mom's heart, you know. I would get his prison counselor. His prison counselor would say, like, you just got to stop believing what he's telling you. I got involved way too deep in his prison life. Like, Anyway, he got out last year. He's been out for a year and a half. I had a friend drive me an hour and like 20 minutes or so with traffic to pick him up. Brought him here to my place. He moved in and out of my place, I think 8 times in the last year and a half. He would come in, I would find needles, I would find pills, I would find things wrapped in foil, I would find stuff. I would just find stuff. And then he would ask me why I was going through his things. He says he has an autoimmune disease. I talked with one of his doctors. I had one doctor in one hospital that would talk to me. If he was even a doctor. If any of this was even true, which I don't know. I've asked for paperwork. I've asked for phone calls. I've asked for proof of everything under the sun. Constantly. Always. And got nothing. I got nothing. So, it's not for lack of trying to get information, to get proof, to get all this stuff that people are telling me. Well, you know, if you got this and you got this and you got that. Yeah, I know. So that's why I said, you know, who's feeling foolish? Me. Whose fault is this? Mine. Who should I be blaming? Me. You know, the responsibility lies with me. When your child is a drug addict and then they get sick, depending on what exactly he has, because I don't know, I've never seen a diagnosis on paper. I've not seen the admissions into the hospitals, and I've called hospitals that he was supposedly in. Okay, I've called, I've asked his condition, I've called to ask what room he's in, I've called to ask to be connected to him, and I was told over and over again, in each hospital, there's no such patient there by this name. And then he would tell me, he would give them different names. He said I went by probably 8, 10 different names over the last 15 years. So, I had police officers in my apartment sitting down with me, and I'm like, what do I do as a mom when I have my son calling? And I'm not talking like calling once, I'm talking about calling my number over and over and over and over and over and over and over again in the same day. And then I put my phone on silent, and then the texts come through, and it's just text will pop up over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Then emails will pop up, and then Google numbers will pop up that I don't recognize, and it goes on and on and on until you're so broken down that you can't think straight. You don't know what to do. You're being told at 10 o'clock at night, it's dark, I don't have a ride back to the place that I'm living. Mom, I'm freezing, I don't have a coat on. Please, Mom, don't do this to me. I'd hang up on him. I hung up on him so many times. You have no idea. I'd block his number, block the email, and I would do that for a length of time so that I could kind of rebalance and regroup and think. And then I would unblock something. Somebody from another number would call me and say, your son is trying to reach me. Your son is trying to reach you. He's not well, blah, blah, blah. He even went so far as to tell me that he had his right foot amputated and he needed X amount of money for the difference in the surgery that his insurance didn't cover. And then he went on and on about the prosthetic program at this hospital. This is just one of the stories, okay? So maybe a month later, 2 months later, when I went to pick him up from a motel, and he walks to my car with both feet attached to his legs. I can tell you it was not a pretty sight between he and I. No. I've had the smartest people who know some of these stories in depth say to me, break contact. You have to just stop. These are people who know what tough love is. Like, they know. And believe me, I tried. Over and over and over again, I tried that whole tough love approach. And I felt I carried guilt. You know, myself and his dad divorced when he was about 7. So I carried a lot of guilt there. Like, is he like he is because of the divorce? Like, I thought of everything, every reason to carry his problems. But the people around him that grew up in the same environment, the same situation, weren't like this, you know? So it gets to be a place where when someone knows they're going to be able to play you, they're going to continue to play you. I mean, bottom line. If I know every single day something's going to happen for sure, I'm going to expect that, right? So he knew after all those years, like, he knew, I'm going to get over on Mom. I'll give her, if she doesn't say yes today, I'm going to wear her down until she says yes tomorrow. I'm going to just keep calling. I'm going to text. I'm going to have other people text. I'm going to use other numbers. He knows. He knows, like, and he would do that to me. Just, it was constant. And I never learned. So is that him conning me? Or is that him using me? Is that him abusing me? Like, what terminology do you use other than I was really stupid because I really wanted to believe my kid, And so the only person that was really getting hurt out of it was me, because then I kept digging myself out of financial holes, so I understand in the comments, people who don't know, people who haven't lived my life, people who haven't had this situation, people who haven't had their kid in jail or prison, people who haven't been through what I've been through, people who don't know, people who want to guess. I get your comments, like, I get it, I understand. But I can say that I am not the only person this happens to. And that's why I'm talking about it. This happens a lot and to a lot of people. And as I said, I'm pretty sure I said in the last video, it's not just moms or dads, it's brothers, sisters, it's aunts, uncles, it's grandparents. This happens, it's friends, a friend to a friend. This constant using and abusing, and these very unhealthy relationships that are formed through guilt or something. And then you get to a place where you say, I can't do this anymore. I can't. I can't. And he just turned 36. He's not living anywhere local to me. And for all the times he said he was in a hospital, for the person who said, why didn't you go see him? Every time he said he was in a hospital, I said, let me come and sit with you. Let me come and visit you. Let me come and see. Let me come and talk to the doctors. Let me come and talk to the nurses. I worked in a hospital for 10 years in the intensive care unit. I was a CNA for Beata for 3 years. Let me come and be a part of this so I know what's going on with you so that I can be an advocate for you. no matter what hospital he said he was in. I would have been there if he had said I could be there. But he didn't want me there because most of the time he wasn't there. So, there you have it. The lies were just constant. And the thing is that I don't believe at this point there's drugs involved anymore. At least not anything serious. And again, maybe I'm just, wishful thinking, I don't know. But for the person who said, like, don't get your boyfriend involved, like I said, he's my fiance. And he said to me, like, enough is enough. Like, if we don't put a stop to this, the fear is you're not going to be alive. He's going to end up causing you to take your life. And he said, I'm not going to allow that to happen. So thank God someone loves me that much, My fiance will soon roll into his 70th year, so he's not going to be bullied. He's not going to take any, he's not going to take any crap. He's not going to take any crap. Trust me in the fact when I say that he's not going to take any crap from my son. He's not going to take any crap from my son. He's not. So, because I know this has happened to me and I know the extent of the damage, and what my fiance said was, if you get a call and you don't recognize the number, I'll answer your phone. I'll answer it. And if it's your son, I will let your son know that your mother does not want to speak to you right now. And so until and if you start doing the right thing, there will be no communication with your mom. And that's what your mom's choice is. Oh, that's that. That's where we're at with that. So because I know this has happened to me, and I know how detrimental it is, and I know how destructive it is, I know that it's happening to others. I know that there are people silently suffering this same situation that I have gone through since 2013. 11 years. I know that there are moms and dads and sisters and brothers and friends and aunts and uncles and grandparents stressing and worrying and giving money and getting themselves in debt and being threatened and being used and being conned and all that, all around the world. I know that this is happening a lot. It is. This is a bad thing. And I call it abuse. Whether it's elder abuse, whether it's abuse of a sister, or abuse of a friend, it's abuse no matter what. And the communication has to stop, be completely ended and just severed. It's been said you have to become a surgeon and you have to make a cut. And so it's been 5 days and 5 nights with no contact. And it's been some of the most peaceful days and nights that I've had in a little while. Is it constantly on my mind, the situation? Absolutely. Of course it is. What I do know is this, if something seriously was wrong with my son, like if it was a life and death situation, he has me as a contact somewhere, and I'll get a call from whoever it is that I need to hear from to tell me what's going on. He emailed me his last will and testament months ago. That he just wrote up himself. So it's sitting in my email box. It's a really nasty place to be in. And, you know, do I love my son? Of course I do. Of course I do. I love my son, the part that when he's not doing this, you know. And I think at this point, he just chooses not to know any better, just like I chose not to know any better. And when I know it's on me, and I'm the stupid one, I'm going to say I'm the stupid one. So, you know, you have to look inward times like this, and you have to like really look at what you're doing. And where do you point the finger? And where do you put the blame? Like, who do you say is at fault? In this case, it's me. It's me. Like, if I wasn't falling for this, get over and over, this would not have become a habit. This would not have become a thing, right? This is on me. I started it in the beginning, so I have to end it. I have to be the one to say, this is not happening anymore. But that takes time, and that's what I'm working on now, and that's where I'm getting help from my fiance with this. Because when you recognize your weakness and you're trying to pull yourself out of that, a really bad situation, if someone is strong enough to say, I'm going to help you with this, to keep you alive, you should be smart enough to take that person up on their offer, right? So this is a hard talk. This is a hard topic, and it's a hard talk. And I understand people throwing out comments like this and this and this because you haven't lived it. Or if you have lived it, you were smart enough in the very beginning to not have it get to the point that it got with me, you know? And so I'm taking this on me, and I'm undoing it. Because I did it, so now I have to undo it. So if you're one of the people like me that got yourself like caught, you're caught. Try to get yourself uncaught, no matter what you need to do. Because nobody deserves to be treated like this. Nobody deserves to go through this kind of pain and suffering. No one. I have been so good to my son, but too good, and in a very unhealthy way. So we have to look at it for what it is. Like, we have to just look it in the face. We have to look at ourselves, and we have to look at the person, and we have to say, like, this is not going to change until I change it. You know? Because it causes an awful lot of damage. And the amount of peace that comes into your life when you remove that person is incredible. So I'm talking about this and I'm being very honest. It's like, if you haven't been in this situation, please be mindful of what you comment. Useful advice is appreciated. But if you haven't lived it, you know, I mean, really. So if you find you're not strong enough on your own, reach out to someone who you think might be able to help you. Like I said, I've called the local police department. I've had the cops here, and they're like, you could change your number. change your phone number. You could get a protection from abuse. Well, that's just keeping him, so many feet from me, right? No contact, no contact. He doesn't listen to any of that stuff. And they're like, and if it gets like real crazy, like don't answer your phone, turn your phone off. Okay, so then I don't get any other calls. So it's like I'm supposed to be inconvenienced because he won't let me alone. So is that fair? It gets real messy is what it does. It gets real messy. But I'm putting it out there because I want others who are going through this to stop and think about what I'm talking about and what I've been through with my son and how hard it's been on me, and what I'm doing now to change that. And I'm grateful to have the help. I'm grateful to have that barrier between he and I, if it's needed, because sometimes you need a barrier, and that's just where I am. So I'm going to go get a shower. I'm exhausted, beyond words. I'm exhausted. I'm going to get a shower. I'm going to lay down. I'm going to watch a movie. That's what I'm going to do. I have anxiety. I'm rashy and itchy all over from the amount of anxiety that I'm going through right now. But it will get better because I'm determined to make it better. And then that's just what we have to do. So I'm going to go. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being with me. This is episode 2 of Coffee with Poet. And tomorrow is the last day of November. We went to the local mall, like I said today. The parking lot was packed because they had 2/3 of the parking lot blocked off. And it was busy. Very few stores open, unfortunately. They did have 2, they used to be called Piercing Pagoda, and they're still using the word Piercing Pagoda, but they added another name to it. And they do piercings, the nose piercing. One of my sweet dear friends mentioned about that. Mentioned Claire's to me, and I didn't see anything about that in Claire's, but I did see it at this Piercing Pagoda with this new name added on, that they do the piercing with the nose. So it was so crowded today. I'm like, there's no way I can go through with that, because like everybody's watching. As soon as anybody was going to get a piercing, like everybody's watching. I'm like, no, I need to go up through the week early as soon as it opens up to try and get this done and see if I can get the piercing done. So that's what we did, and we came home, we had lunch, and it's just been a quiet rest of the day. So tomorrow is Walmart, and then the Christmas tree, getting the Christmas tree, and then we'll move on to some other things we need to do. So thank you for being here with me. Take care of yourselves, you guys. Be careful out there. The traffic's crazy, It's that getting close to Christmas time. And I'm going to pop over to Messenger. I have to get better there, like on a regular basis, like take 15 minutes out of my day, because I really want to stay caught up with everyone. If I miss a day, I miss people. I miss my people, so that's what I'm going to do next.